Thank you for joining me. I'm Brad Doucet, the Director of Enterprise Support Services at Louisiana's Department of Transportation and Development. One of the roles in that position is to direct the operations of the Louisiana DoTD system of engagement. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So, like most large and mature organizations, DoTD found itself in a situation where authoritative business data was being generated and stored in various disparate business systems. So that meant that we had to go to several different systems if you wanted information from these systems, and even have to go to several different folks who knew more about the system than maybe you did. Over the years, DoTD has reviewed several potential solutions to address this issue. With the strong support with DoTD executives, in 2018, we ultimately decided on the Esri system of engagement solution. And I'll talk a little bit about that now. So with an overall goal of providing DoTD with a centralized enterprise destination where folks can partner to consume, analyze, or contribute enterprise data, DoTD actually conducted, with the help of Esri, initial system of engagement discovery in spring of 2018. What these discoveries did was hold business meetings and technical meetings to decide where the system of engagement could help DoTD with its solution. The results of these discovery sessions actually resulted in the identification of potentially 60 new apps and some improvements in our infrastructure that could happen. And all this was happening, all this would be planned to use infrastructure that DoTD is already building and to maximize the use of technology DoTD already owns. So with strong support from DoTD executives, we developed a strategy to leverage location as the key to connecting disparate businesses. As a result of those discovery sessions that happened in spring of 2018, Esri delivered an implementation plan. DoTD reviewed that implementation plan and ultimately decided to move forward with implementation of that plan. That implementation kicked off in the fall of 2018. A high-level overview of the approach we use in the system of engagement at DoTD is to leverage, as I said before, existing business systems, create reusable services to access data from business systems, and then build suites of apps using one or more of the web services that we've created, either one or many times, and have a single destination to find apps and share content. Many groups from within DoTD and across several other organizations partnered to implement and execute the efficient and effective SOE app development process. First, let's talk about the people. DoTD developed a core team comprised of folks from my Enterprise Support Services section, as well as the GIS Enterprise section here at DoTD. Obviously, we partnered with Esri to come in and help us configure these apps and to enhance our infrastructure. I'd like to walk through a quick demonstration of our process to come up with apps and to actually release these apps. So we identify an app idea, essentially. We identify the folks that should be part of that app team. That's both from the DoTD core team, business unit app owners, and the Esri team. An important part is we have to look at the data to power these apps are available to us and what it would take for us to get that and integrate that data. Once we decide all that, the application abstract is started and it's signed off on by all the team members. So everyone has a common operational picture of what the app's going to be. We have an application kickoff and we go through iterative feedback sessions as we develop the app and configure it to the user specification. Based on that feedback, we put the app in staging and ultimately we release it to production. So all of that, as you know, as you can probably attest to, requires some significant infrastructure to house that and to facilitate those apps. A further partnership with the DoT core team and the Esri team here at DoTD is OTS. OTS is the Office of Technology Services. They are DoTD's centralized government IT service provider. And we've partnered with them to make sure we have the infrastructure we need to power the system of engagement. I'd like to reiterate that the importance of that data integration. That's the whole reason why we're here. It's what we had siloed data before, and we want to make sure we integrate data from all these disparate systems into one place. To do that, you have to involve the DoTD data subject matter experts, the Esri team to help us connect all these things together, as well as the DoTD core team. Through these strong partnerships and these intentional processes, the SOE team was able to release over 15 apps into production during the first release cycle of the first year of the implementation project. Now that's significant because the first release cycle happened about 6 months into the project, and our overall goal for year one was, one of our overall goals for year one was to release at least 15 apps. We did that in 6 months. One of the highlights I'd like to show here is the project viewer. The project viewer is an app that took data about road construction projects from many different systems and presented them into a single point. Whereas before, you'll see there were tabular data that folks would go to that you really had to know the data and how to use it in order to apply it to business decisions. Now, we have an easy to go to map where you can click on a project and immediately get all the information about that project. Another impactful example from our first release of apps is a suite of environmental apps. So essentially, prior to the SOE suite of apps, the environmental folks would go out to the field and they would actually hand draw their results of what they call a shovel hit test. They would hand draw this on paper forms, bring it back into the office, use Microsoft Paint to make their reporting look a little more professional, and then have that as part of their overall report. With the SOE suite of apps for the environmental group, we automated all of that from the beginning to the end, and including the reporting portion of it. These diagrams are now made automatically, and no double work or manual work is needed to produce these. Just this small change saves over 3,000 labor hours per year for us. And that's just in the environmental section. So if you can think about how important environmental studies are to most projects at the Department of Transportation here, you can easily see the ripple effect that this time saving has produced for you. I mentioned before that in the first release of the first year, we released 15 apps. Well, we also had a second app release in year one. That put another 15 or so apps into production. This, of course, more than doubled the initial 15 app goal by the end of the first year. Of these apps, I'd like to also kind of take a look at another impactful example of success. That's the Bridge Information Viewer. With this app, you can query, search, export data on bridges. This data is pulled from multiple different authoritative data sources and provides just about any information you'd like to know about a bridge at DoTD. For example, if you wanted to look at the US 190 bridge over the Mississippi River in Baton Rouge, you'd simply go to the map, click on the project. It would center on the project and show you a snapshot of the data that's available for that. And if you click on the snapshot, that would expand even further to give you all the information you need right in one place. Prior to this, if you want to know this information, you had to go to at least 7 or 8 different systems, and even sometimes know someone who could get into those systems if you may not have access to it. But here we have it all in one place. I talked much about the first year, and the 2 apps that I demoed were from the first year. But app development is an ongoing evolution. In fact, we're currently working to enhance 5 of our existing apps that we've talked about before, and we're working to develop 5 new apps. Those are scheduled to be released in the spring of 2021. I highlight that to say it's an ongoing iteration throughout the whole ecosystem. You take a look at what you need, the apps you need, and even sometimes the apps you don't need, and you retire those. So some key takeaways I'd like to leave with you are DoTD has about 50 new apps that have either been released or are scheduled to be released soon. Over 1,300 unique SOE portal user accounts have been created, and about 75 of these have been created in the past 2 weeks. What that tells me is that almost half of the people at DoTD are using the system of engagement in some capacity. And in the past 2 weeks, 75 new people have started to use the system of engagement. That gives me an upward trend and tells me that the SOE is doing what we've planned for it to do. Some of the most viewed SOE apps to date include Open Data, a place where you can go for curated geospatial data, which has over 10,000 views to date. The Dams Collector app has over 1,750 views. The Bridge Information Viewer that we discussed just a bit ago has over 1,700 views. And you see the other 2 apps that are listed there on the screen. This growing collection of interconnected SOE apps is organized by business function, and it's improving the decision-making and saving time in the search for data and insight across DoTD and for our partner. As these apps are developed, more functionality of existing apps are expanded, and more authoritative data sources are tapped, DoTD can incorporate these tools into their daily work process even more. The SOD is serving in our ongoing efforts to achieve our mission of delivering a safe and reliable infrastructure system that enhances mobility, economic opportunity, and public confidence. Thank you for your time today. I hope this information I provided is helpful to you. If you have any questions about it or would like to discuss it further with me, please feel free to reach out.